It says we're
Alright.
live.
It says, yeah, we're live. Wow.
Says we're live. And give it a second because it always has to update. There we go. We're also on Instagram. I am checking. But we are. Yes, we are live. So welcome. This is our second Cross Caucus Live. Tonight we're with the Global Black Caucus, which we are really excited about to do in Black History Month. We have been, from the Women's Caucus, we've been trying to highlight famous Black orators who have said so many inspiring things that have kept us going. Tonight with us, we have Chloe.
Hi, I'm Chloe. I'm a member of the Global Women's Caucus. I am part of the marketing team, and I'm currently located in Spain.
And then from the Global Black Caucus, we have Angela.
Hi, I'm Angela Fobbs, and I live in Germany, and I am one of the founding members of the Global Black Caucus.
Wow.
And we have G.
Hi, I am G. I live in Italy and I am the chairperson of the Black Caucus in Italy.
That's really cool. What part of Italy are you in?
Milan.
One of my favorite cities there. So tonight we're going to talk about some issues that cross the demographics. We had wanted to start with the pink tax, the double tax, and the wage gap. People have generally heard of some of this, but they may not know of all of it. So let's start with the pink tax, which is the most well-known. As we all know, the pink tax is when women's products are higher priced for no reason other than being pink and pretty and marketed to women. Where do you all see that the most?
I would say probably with healthcare products, that there are healthcare products that women need that men don't need. So that's extra to begin with. But even things like deodorant or lotions or creams or whatever, it's all, to me, it's all a lot more money for women than it is for men. I mean, men don't really care for themselves.
That's true. I think, it's like these little things that are incremental. It's like the healthcare, and then like even in the cleaners, paying a few cents more for a blouse versus a shirt. It's every aspect of like the existence of being a woman. I feel like even just the beauty standard, trying to, have a nice lip gloss.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
everything.
Oh, yeah.
I would also say that clothing is also another area where you see this, and you can't see this in this video, but I'm actually 6'1", and finding pants that are long enough, they always cost like a whole lot more. And men's pants they expect men to be tall. So it's not such a big deal.
It's
Yeah.
funny because I have a couple friends who are women over 6 feet, and it seems like only women's sizes start to increase the price with size. Like
Mhm.
if you have to get an extra large versus a small, you're going to pay more for having to buy a larger size. Like even if it's in the same rack, you can see the price difference sometimes
Yes.
for a larger size.
Yes, that's true. I could, if my legs, if my inseam was maybe 2 inches shorter, I would save a lot of money for sure on clothing, for sure. But now, if I buy a pair of pants, it's going to be twice as much as what it would be for a person who is a little bit shorter.
And you would think your model height, like you should get a bonus for being special.
I see it even with t-shirts where a t-shirt will be softer, better quality, and significantly less expensive in men's.
Mm-hmm.
And then their shirts are, $5 for a 5-pack, and my shirts are $20 a piece.
No,
Yeah.
I buy a lot of
Yeah.
men's shirts. I buy a
I was
lot of
about to
men's shirts.
say, I do the same. I buy a lot of men's shirts, but it's also because sometimes you can find like just plain shirts, right? That
Hmm.
don't have a lot of writing or anything like that. That's always in the men's section versus women's a lot of times. I even see that a lot for kids. Like sometimes I just want to buy my kid just a plain shirt, and they don't have that for little girls. It's
No, it's
always
true.
like bows and things like that, and she's not like that at all. So she's just like, I just want a black shirt, mom. I was like, well, I'll see what I can do. Like usually, if she picks like black or white, you can find those. But any of the other colors, it's much harder just to find the plain shirt. You have to go into the men's or the boys section to find those things.
It's sad that it starts so young too.
Oh, all
Well,
types. Like
I
it
was gonna
really does.
say everything now. I mean, they are exposed to so much more, especially like the beauty standards, right? Like that they're getting
Mhm.
exposed to all that stuff. And she now, I think she knows more about beauty things than I do. And she has expensive taste. So they start them young on the lip, she's 11, so she has certain rules, but she wants the expensive like Summer Fridays lip gloss that she sees all of the people on TikTok wearing and Laneige lip glosses and all these things. And
I
yes,
don't
they
even know what
start
that
off
is.
young. It's a
I've
Korean
never.
brand. Trust me, I
Yeah.
know all the. Just wait. If you have if you have
I,
younger
I've
girls,
I've read about this that younger girls they have skincare routines and all these
Mhm.
things that when we were little or when I was a little kid, I never even thought about a skincare routine.
But you know
she
Or
what?
yeah, she does.
There are adults who are perpetuating this. There's content creators who do these routines with their children, right?
Oh,
And I was talking to someone about it, and it's very stark because there was one woman who has like millions of followers. She wakes her daughters up earlier than her son because he doesn't need to do all of the things that the girls need to do. And these are very young girls, you know what I mean? Like where they're waking up doing, 10-step facial routines to get ready to go to elementary school.
and,
It's
and that's
insane.
insane.
Mm.
That is insane. She has 3 steps, and that's all that I'm allowing. 'Cause I'm like, you're 11. You don't need that. Like, I understand that you want to have a skincare, but you have a regular cleanser that doesn't have all of the things in it because you don't need that. Your skin does not need all that stuff. Um, Sunscreen and moisturizer, like that is her skincare routine because she doesn't need all the extra stuff. But they're starting to like make lines of skincare products and even makeup now for children that are 11 years old, right? And it's more expensive. And so like the,
Yeah,
the
no,
expense
because then
starts the expense
they can
starts
play the angle of like, oh, we have to specially formulate it for your child's skin that doesn't need any of this BS to begin with.
no.
but even
They're
think
just
about it,
putting
like
water in the bottle.
but I mean, some of these things are starting so young. Like I mean, I think now thinking about it, I was part of it because we got like the nail polish that they make for like little kids, right? So you
Mm.
start really, it's like I forget the name of it, but it's the same thing. It's specifically made for little kids so that they can paint their nails,
Yeah, but
and it like
don't
peels off
you
and does and all that stuff. Yeah.
oh my God, but don't you think this is just trying to indoctrinate young girls into the patriarchy with
Oh,
all this nonsense?
for sure. Think about girls' toys, right? Like what are you getting? They get a kitchen set, you get a mop, a cleaner, so they like these are playthings that you get for like that are specifically geared to little girls.
I'm telling you right now, my sons have that. I bought my sons. They're gonna clean up. Mm-mm.
Well,
They're
good.
gonna
I mean,
cook.
yeah, it should be.
We can play cows. Y'all can be your own caregivers. I think like I was gonna say we need to start adding our emotion, like girls' emotions, to the pink tax as well, because that
Mhm.
is actually where
Mhm.
they really capture us. Before you even get to the store, they've captured their minds, and they use, I wouldn't say use, like we as adult women understand the pressure, and so somehow you end up don't not knowing how to fight. You know what I mean? This is social pressures for little girls. You want them to have a balance of it, but it's really hard. But I feel it starts way before they actually can go out and purchase. Like it starts with the imagination and their minds.
Oh yeah, I'll never forget this. And I didn't think about it until it was brought up, but I was pregnant with my daughter and we were looking at toys with my husband's grandma and she's like, "What is this?" She's like, "Why are we telling little girls that all they can do is like cook and clean houses and things like that?" She's like, "Do not buy your child these things. Like go get her other things to inspire her to be, outside of the home." And I was like, "Oh yeah, like I've never thought about it, right?" Because that's just what you do without thinking about it. Even as an adult, you're indoctrinated into being like, this is what little girls are supposed to do. You go buy these things for them. And it just like didn't even cross my mind until somebody was like, yeah, why? Why is this just for little
It
girls?
is crazy. And I think for Angela's, is it indoctrination into the patriarchy? Yes. But I think it's also capitalism in its
Yeah.
finest,
Oh
and I say
yeah.
that as sarcastically as possible. If we can convince women that they are ugly and they can't be ugly in this society, and they need $1,400 each products to be slightly less hideous and ogreish, then capitalism makes a lot of money. And I think that's a big part of where skincare is great, but these extensive skincare routines where you're using, snail cream, but only on the inside of your under eye bags, and the outside is, I don't know, rhino
P.
serum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, and I think when we've gotten to the point where this is a money grab more than anything, we convince
Oh,
people they need 47 different products, and that's just the morning routine. I see these
yeah.
girls who they're not on TikTok. These are people I know in real life, and their morning routine to wash their face is an hour and a half long.
Wow.
And I'm
That
like,
is insane.
And where
because
do they
this has
have
to
the
go on
time?
and be
I mean,
washed off.
honest to God, like an hour and a half in the bathroom, I'm bored. I couldn't be in there rubbing on
Yeah,
myself for that long. Like, how do they
Yeah.
even have the time for this?
it's
It's yeah, I
absolutely
don't know.
insane. And I'm sitting there like I haven't had a zit since I was, I don't know, 9.
Shut your mouth.
My bathroom routine is like 3 steps. So yeah, it's one of those things.
But the
And
crazy thing is,
then we have the what,
I was
Chloe?
just about to say, the crazy thing is that they've started to come out and saying that we're doing more harm to our skin than we're actually doing good by having a 15 step, skin routine. Your skin doesn't need all of that stuff. Like we
Yeah.
are permanently damaging it. So it's a perpetual cycle, right? Like because you're damaging your skin because of all these things, you have to keep doing it and buying and so on and so forth.
But you know what? That is our cycle in so many things. You know what I mean?
It is, oh
Create the
for sure.
problem, create a fix for the problem, have a new fix, like that's been, so many cycles of our existence, and we create the problems, then we create fixes for them, and then that creates new problems. It's been a long-term cycle.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
true.
for
Well,
sure. I just think that all these things are, it's like negging. You know what I mean? Like it is that if you don't do this, then somehow you're not going to look good enough or be good enough. And what I always wonder is, what are men doing? What
Oh,
are they doing?
nothing. My husband does
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And yet he still managed to have a wife and a family, and so will everyone else if they just like not try so hard to be attractive. And because even if you try, there's always somebody out there that's like, that's not quite good enough. You might
Oh,
need to
Mhm.
do some other stuff, to try to make yourself more attractive or keep from looking old or whatever it is, whatever reason that you're doing. But for sure, you're going to age, and no matter what you do, no matter what you do, you're still going to age.
yeah,
So
So
yeah.
we're going to blame you for it. Oh, and then we have the double tax. So we're paying more on all these products and we're being told we need more products than men ever are told they need. And then on top of that, we're getting paid less.
yes,
Now
Yeah.
overall the rule is 83 cents on the dollar, but we know that's not true when you actually break it down into demographics. Um, that white women are generally paid 83 cents on the dollar, but black women are generally making closer to 64 cents on the dollar
Wow.
on average,
Yeah.
which is insane.
yeah,
No, that it's, you know what, I think like these standards and these ideas about the double tax, this always leads into, for me, the conversation of women with male partners and 50-50, right? So we are taxed on so many things. Like you said, we're not making the same amount of money. We're, taxed on personal care things that we need that men don't need, the beauty standard, blah 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 blah. You have been pressured and groomed as a woman to believe you have to have certain standards of attraction just to exist in
Oh,
society, even if you don't want a man. You know what I mean? Like, even if like that's not your jam, just to be acceptable in a society. And then if you're partnered with a man, to be considered a proper feminist, you have to be able to agree to say, yeah, I'll pay 50% of the bills.
really?
And
yeah.
Yeah.
like a lot of women will say, a lot of
Okay.
feminist women will say that. I'm
Oh,
not
I
one of
would
them.
I would never say
No.
that either. That's a dumb thing to say. I mean, I yeah, I just never do that. Not in a million years.
Well, I mean, I think women in general end up taking more work on
Yeah.
Hmm.
because you'll
Hmm.
do if you have a family, then you're expected to go to work, right? And then on top of that, you are expected to know the children's doctors, your names, numbers, teachers' names, numbers, anything that has to do with the kids always falls on mom. When the kid gets sick, who's taking the time off? Not dad. Mom gets called, right? Like
Hmm.
the amount of work shared on just having a family, sometimes women do more.
Oh,
Women
women,
will do way more work than dad ever will.
absolutely. Absolutely. And like that's for me, like that double tax, for women who are working outside of the home is more like a triple tax or quadruple tax, because you're making less money, you're paying bills usually that are dependent upon you, not just, like to add something to the lifestyle. A lot of times it's dependent upon you to pay your share, and then also picking up
It,
majority of like the work. It's like more than a
and
double tax.
and yeah, and usually you're the one expected to take time off when the
Mhm.
kid is
Hmm.
sick, or you have to go pick up. Like, so your job will suffer because the expectation is that mom will take care of it.
And
Yeah.
take time off after having the kids in the first place. Most paternity leave is not mandatory, is not offered in the United States.
No.
No, I
Um,
mean that things are slowly changing. I mean, I will say this: if the military can do it, other places can do it. Like
mhm.
that's something new that they've started implementing, which is nice because the mom needs the help. It is a lonely place that right after you give birth to a kid. It's a wonderful time, but it's also really lonely, and you're trying to figure all that out. Yeah, it's
And
it's rough.
recover. I would love to see
Yeah.
legislation pushing for paternity leave, and I'd love to see legislation that actually was effective
Well,
in
Well,
closing the
let's
pay gap more.
I'll just say this: can we just get women the time off that they need to recover from having a baby?
Hmm.
Like we can't even get the health care for women,
Yeah.
let
well,
alone we think that
We
they're going to
can't
do
even
this.
get health care for women in the United States who are like the irony of so much conversation about is particularly in the United States about people not having enough children so they can have workers for capitalism, right? Like they they want women to have children and not support any aspect of motherhood to make it easy and enjoyable, they
Oh,
and actually beneficial for the mother and the child, and society in the end. So it's really so many contradictions about like having babies and the pressure behind all
oh,
of that right now, and then like not providing women with proper health care, let alone maternity leave and aftercare and things like that, and and support of young children. It's
oh yeah. I mean, just think about when you think about conceiving a child, whose responsibility is it whether you're going to have a kid or not?
yeah.
It's
Mhm.
ours, right? Most of the time, they condoms will be used, but you're also very much expected to be on the pill or some kind of contraceptive. You don't want, right? Like the amount of responsibility that men have in that is far, is smaller.
It's
The,
none.
the expectation,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, the expectation is way smaller than what it is for women, right?
I
There's
mean,
so
the
many,
expectation for men, if there's like things below hell, like all the way down, like to the core of the earth, that's where the bar is. You know what I
I
mean?
mean,
And
yeah.
they're kind of trying to get it lower. They're like, what's below, like, earth?
Well,
Like,
yeah,
can you
I
just
always think
get
of
it?
like Hobby Lobby, right? Hobby Lobby refused to give women pay for their contraceptions, but they'll pay for the Viagra. Like, but I'm
Mhm.
like make it make sense. Like, if it's about sexual health, then give me my
Yeah,
money for my contraceptions, right? Like,
You
but
but
know,
it's
it's
not about sexual health, though.
oh,
It,
I mean, I know.
it's, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's not. It's basically women are doing all the sort of physical and emotional labor of raising, having families, not all, but a majority of it. And these people that want women to have more children and not work and whatever, to me, this is all some kind of delusional fantasy, that you want people to have more children. You don't want to pay them more money. You want to make it hard for them to have childcare. You want to have make schools more like difficult for people to actually get an education. And so you have all these things that are contradictory to building large families that are existing in our world.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just expensive to have a large family, right? Like just in general. Like having one kid is expensive. When you start adding on more, and then just like you said, like thinking about if anybody gets sick, the healthcare aspect of it goes up quadruple. Like, ugh.
Well, and especially I read that Black women are more likely, significantly more likely, to be the primary breadwinners in their household. So being paid 64 cents on the dollar. I had to check my numbers.
Mm.
64 cents on the dollar. And that's going to be the higher income on average in Black households. And how are you supposed to survive? Nowadays, nobody can survive without two incomes. The higher income earner is now supposed to be the one having the children, taking off the time.
I think,
And
that's one of the challenges, I think, in the Black community in the United States. I mean, when I lived there, I had a good job. I didn't need a dude, right? But I never met a man of any ethnicity who made more than me. Um,
Mhm.
and it was one of those things where it's like, what are you good for? If I was like, like honestly, I bought the house. I got things. I don't need like
Yeah, I don't need you.
your extra isn't doing anything for me. I think that disconnect for women who are higher earners, a lot of men just become like less, I mean, I don't want to say like less important, but they don't have any value, because there's no emotional support, there's no like other soft skills that would fill in those gaps that
Yes,
make a
unless they
difference. You
have
know what I mean?
learned those soft skills, unless they have
Yeah.
learned how to be a supportive partner, emotional support, that kind of thing. Yeah, we're
Exactly.
getting
So
Yeah.
that
like
from your
having
friends.
children with a man like this, and you're the breadwinner, like that doesn't make that, like that one of those things that like doesn't even make sense. And I think that starts to feed more into women not wanting to have children, because why am like none of that makes sense. Like none of it makes sense.
Well, the statistic is right that like single women are the happiest
Mhm.
statistically. Second is married women, and then bottom is those that are married with children. You're at the very end.
Wow.
So
Mhm.
like when you're thinking of like when people, especially now, where like you right, like society has kind of come to a point where like they still want you to be married and have kids and do all that, but it's becoming more acceptable where people are being single longer and that's okay. Or like they're only get married and have no children because they want to be happy. Like, and they don't, like you said, there's not the same need to have a man in your life like you once needed to have one.
Well, there's no
And I
need.
think
There's this.
now, honestly, the way like in the United States, the way stuff is going with politics and everything and women's rights, I wouldn't marry a man. Like I wouldn't. I feel like they're putting women in a place where it's just like, for my safety and well-being, I'm not going to marry you. I don't even want to live with you. I need to keep some distance, because like it's not feeling safer to even have a male partner, like for your well-being just doesn't even feel safe.
Well, and they
Wow.
are shooting down legislation that would be providing the protections to make us feel like equal members of the country. Um, we have the ERA, which has been ratified by enough states and still isn't going to become an amendment. We have the Paycheck Fairness Act, which would help force businesses to justify any pay gaps, and that it's out of job necessity or skill level, not prejudice, which that started in 1997 and still hasn't passed. Um, they keep doing this, and we're seeing it again with the Save America Act and other acts designed to target and keep women from the voting polls, from the voting booths.
Well,
And they make us feel like we're not members of the country, like we're not.
Well, they want you to feel that way, I feel like.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I think
but
that's,
that,
like
however, however they want you to feel, it doesn't really matter. I mean, we are the most important part of the country,
Mhm.
of any country. Doesn't matter. Women are doing all the things to keep everything running. And and if there are men that don't appreciate this, then they should be disregarded. Whatever they want is obviously not important. I, as far as marriage goes, I think you should never get married unless you have a partner that will treat you as an equal, or that you
Mhm.
are equal in a
Mhm.
relationship. Or not, you shouldn't get married to have children. You shouldn't get married to like pay your bills. You shouldn't get married because you like to take nice vacations. I don't know. But if you can't find a person who loves you and treats you well, then you really shouldn't be married. That's
I
what
agree
I
with
think.
that. I think a lot
Yeah.
of people just don't know what that looks like. I
Oh,
think, you know what I mean? Like what love and being treated well, we don't have a lot of examples.
Well,
Um,
that's true.
like I
yeah.
mean,
That
I
is
mean,
true.
we've
I
been taught
think
love is transaction. And I think like that transaction, like you said, shouldn't have babies, but babies have become a big transactional thing, especially right now, so
don't. I will say this as somebody who loves their child, and die, do all the things. Don't have a kid just because you think you should have a kid, because it's
yeah.
way more work than anybody is going to tell you. I can tell you it's a lot of work, and then when you go have the kid, you'll be like, you didn't
Yeah.
tell me. I did. It's
Yeah,
just
because you can't describe it.
you can't describe the amount of work and frustration and love all wrapped up in a tiny little thing. Like you just can't.
Yes.
So having kids should be because you want to have a kid and you're with a person that wants to have that kid as well.
And I think also when we start talking about the changes, like our bodies, you know what I mean? The biggest challenge comes, from our own bodies. It's like women being pregnant is the closest thing, going through labor to, almost dying, in most
Mhm.
in
Hmm.
most instances. So having a partner who is going to respect you going through the process of making a child and having a child and those early post postpartum moments is really important because I've read so many stories about women who have babies, come home, ends up in the hospital because they have partners who won't wait the 6 weeks to
Yes.
have sex,
Oh
and
yeah.
all of
Yeah.
that, and like
Horrifying.
they put them in crisis um on a regular basis. And I just feel like it is unfortunate a lot of women don't know what love looks like and don't know how to vet men to be good caregivers. And also men lie. There's also
Well,
Yeah.
that.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
just about to say it's hard to vet people that are constantly lying. Um,
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it, maybe just because I'm a millennial, I think some of it is we're finally starting to unlearn a lot of the things our parents taught us. Sometimes I think to the detriment, because I'm not wholeheartedly against. I think gentle parenting is good, but there's a fine line there. Um, but I think we're finally realizing, like, oh, we need to figure out what a healthy relationship looks like. You know.
Definitely.
So I mean, I think we're
yeah,
getting
for
there, but
sure.
it's a work in progress.
Yeah, I think
So,
a lot of us in certain generations are starting to understand like we need to reparent ourselves to a certain extent because of the the efforts our parents made to make us right.
Yeah,
To
I mean,
mess
and they
us
didn't
up.
know, right? Like that's part of it. Like they didn't know. They
Yeah.
did. I think every generation tries to do a little bit better, and now
Except
now
for
we
the
just know
boomers.
more. Okay, yeah, yeah. I can't
Uh,
I can't speak to them, but
so you all brought up the issues, the physical issues that come along with pregnancy, and there is a 1 to 5% mortality rate in the United States. 80% of those deaths via pregnancy are actually preventable. The CDC has determined. The rate is higher with Black women because we all know Black women are ignored by doctors and just their pain and concerns are often disregarded. Um, Women too, but at a higher scale. Um, and we're also seeing that um, pregnancies in Black women have 3 times of a higher rate of complications, severe complications going untreated, because again, the healthcare system is not structured to care about women, and then they treat races different when they shouldn't. They treat people different based on assumptions that are I majored in a biology related field in college. And a lot of the studies that involve women and people of color are so outdated and frankly false. um, where they assume people don't have can't feel pain kind of thing. And a lot of those studies still indicate how EMTs are trained today and that sort of thing. I mean, you have who here actually is a parent? I know Chloe is.
I am as
Who
well.
actually is a okay.
I
Angela
am
too?
too. Yeah.
Oh, so I'm the only one not a parent here then. Okay. Um
You're the
I
happiest
win.
one of us out of all of
I
us.
know you're the happiest one of us all.
No, I'm
Statistically
quite
speaking.
happy. My children are adults, so
Yeah,
Stop.
we
See,
go back up again. We go back up once the curve goes up
Did,
again. Um,
did you all experience healthcare issues that were disregarded because of gender or color in your experience? Oh, Christina says in Norway, men are forced to share parental leave. I love
yeah,
mm,
that.
In Germany also.
no, that's great.
Really, I knew it was available, but it's a requirement.
Yeah,
oh, that's actually a nice.
That's the
Um,
yeah,
legislation I want.
I actually, I feel like I've had experiences here in Italy with the healthcare system, the socialized healthcare system. Normally, like I've started going to private doctors because of being ignored. Because one of the things I think we don't talk about enough is that the healthcare systems all have like the same kind of base in racist, ideology that started here in Europe and then kind of spread out throughout the world. Um, so yeah, I mean, when I was pregnant with my last baby was really like difficult. The first one went really well and we moved, so I changed doctors and everything. But I think also because my first pregnancy, I always had like either my husband or his parents with me at the doctors. When I started going on my own, it was different, completely different. And I had a doctor, the first doctor I had for my last kid, I wanted to do an amnio test and she didn't want to do it because of like moral consciousness associated with like the potential of abortion.
oh my
And
God.
I was
Jeez.
like, I don't want to have an abortion. And she's like, yeah, but if something comes up in the test and you decide to have an abortion, then I allowed you to have the test that led to like this whole
Oh my
thing.
gosh. Did you find a
Well,
new doctor?
I had to find a new doctor because she refused to even write me the script to go get the test. And
oh my
so she
gosh.
basically was like, find a new doctor, wouldn't give me any suggestions. And like, I
Oh
was
my
just
God.
like,
That
had
is,
to go find something like on my own. And, like, there's so many, there's a
And of
level
course,
of
had you not
coldness.
gotten the test and something was wrong?
well,
And if you
yeah,
hadn't gotten the test and something was wrong, you would have been the one, why didn't you get the test, you lazy? Like they're going to
Exactly.
blame it on you.
Exactly.
yeah.
But one of the things that really disturbs me these days is the fact that women who are having bad pregnancies can't get the treatment that they deserve or that they require in order to save their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a tubal pregnancy and I almost died. But if it hadn't been for the fact that I was immediately treated, that I would
Hmm.
have literally died. I lost almost 4 liters of blood. You do not have much more than that.
Mm,
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so it's pretty galling to me that all these people that want people to have more children don't they have a fantasy that everything always works out. Like every pregnancy turns out good. It's unfortunate that most people don't speak about this because I think if they did, you would realize that there are maybe not as many pregnancies that go wrong as that go right, but a lot of them go wrong. It's just that
Oh,
we just don't speak about them.
oh
Hmm.
no. Nobody talks about when you have a miscarriage or things like that. I mean, and now I feel like the people, even when you do have a miscarriage, you need to go get seen because there's stuff that needs to
Yes,
happen to make sure that you don't get even more sick and
yes,
potentially die, right? I mean, I just
And
saw
now they're
something.
arresting people for miscarriages in the States.
I mean,
yes.
I just literally saw something today that was like very, like, I can't believe this in Tennessee that somebody is trying to pass a bill to basically put people in jail if they have an abortion, but then also on top of it, that you can be charged for murder. Like you could
Hmm.
potentially face the death penalty because you had an abortion, right? Like,
Yeah.
and it's like, what? Like, get out of my body. Like, this is part of my healthcare. Like, you know,
Well,
But
but
you
the
can't,
religious
because
part.
a sexual assaulter will
no,
get
they don't get to go to
dismissed.
jail.
Hmm.
No, I
Exactly.
mean, or they go to jail, but it's like nothing, right?
No,
If
most of
they
the
go to
time they
jail.
Like
don't go
not
to
enough of them
jail.
even go to jail. There was
Oh
a
no,
I,
that's
boy.
what I mean.
I
Yeah, a lot
actually,
of them don't, but
yeah.
then when they do finally go, it's like what, like 2 years?
5 minutes. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
5
it's
minutes.
Yeah, it's
nothing. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, so
it's
when
nothing.
you do get your day in court, they still get nothing, and the things that or you have these women that are in jail for defending themselves from domestic abuse. And they're
Yeah.
in jail for like 10, like they're spending the rest of their lives in jail. But the guy
Yeah.
that they called, I don't even know how many times, is still, it's a mess.
Yeah, but this is just another instance of the oppression of women and also men who are living in a delusional fantasy where you never need to have an abortion and nothing ever goes wrong with your pregnancy. And if you have a miscarriage, it's suspect because you must have done something wrong, you know. And this is we all women need to stand up for and not let this happen and not think that having an abortion is the end of the world, because the same procedures for an abortion are the same procedure that you use when you have a miscarriage or you have another type of failed pregnancy. Like, it's the same procedure, and without this health care, women's lives are in grave danger.
I mean, yeah, I mean, we've already seen
Hmm.
it. We've seen the women that have passed away because they
Yes.
were turned away because the hospitals were worried that they were going to face some kind of lawsuit or the doctor was going to go to jail or whatever the state rule was that, because it varies from state to state now. Like
I
it's
mean, it
Yes.
makes violence against women more cultural too,
Yes.
and it dismisses the truth of not just what we might go through in a domestic situation, but also in society, because this is violence towards us. You know what I mean?
oh,
Being threatened with jail when you're having a miscarriage is violence. In vulnerable moments as well. It's
Mhm.
well, it's
it
just
just
lack of
supports.
it's just a
Go ahead.
lack of empathy, right, for another
Hmm.
human being going through something. Regardless of why you're having an abortion, somebody's going through a real thing in their life. If it's
And
the person, that it's a choice because they're just not ready to be a mom, that's the whole thing somebody has to decide and go through. Or if it's a mom that wants to have a kid, they're having and they can't. Like that's a whole another emotional thing. It's just there's no empathy for another
No.
human being.
And it's
There's
not
just
just
not.
even empathy, lack of empathy for the women going through it. It's lack of empathy for the children who are unwanted, because
Oh,
that
yeah.
leads to more social problems in families, in communities, and like not having the options, keeping people in, like, because the people who suffer the most are also, the people who are most financially vulnerable as well. So it's just like keeping people in a certain status and hooked, to that with children, and hooked to poverty with children, hooked to domestic situations because, they lack options and choices.
Oh yeah, because I mean, it's once you have the kid, then if you need assistance and you need the help, well, then
We're not going to
why
do
why
that.
aren't you trying hard enough? Why aren't you doing more?
Exactly.
Oh, it's
You know,
just
like why? Yeah.
yeah, it's just the ongoing devaluation of women's lives. And that is, and people who think that you should be locked up or given the death penalty or something because you had an abortion, they don't actually value women at all.
No, I mean, and some of those things are very much steeped in just racism, right? Like we had a very thriving welfare system until what, like the 60s, I think, and then you had, or I'm gonna get these dates wrong, but then you had the perpetuation of the welfare queen, right? Where you're putting
That was the 80s.
the 80s. See,
And
I
the
knew I was gonna
90s.
get it wrong. I knew I was gonna
Yeah.
get the dates wrong, but right then it became because if you the only people that used it were people of color.
Well, that
I
is
mean,
always
statistically
been a
not white.
lie.
I was
No,
No.
gonna say that was a narrative they created because the real
yeah.
Yes.
welfare queen was never even a black woman. The woman that they perpetuated, like, in people's minds, it's always black people. You know what I mean? It's always black
Hmm.
people taking from the system. And like
Mhm.
even recently when they were talking about like the Somalian daycare issue in Minnesota, it ended up being a white woman behind the whole situation. And
Yeah.
it's so many things they point the finger at black folks because the majority of white people are going to believe, or they want to believe, that ultimately black people are their problem, even though they've created all of their, like, that's the cycle again, they've created all the problems, and they think that somehow ridding themselves of people of color will solve their problems that they created.
Oh yeah, and for sure. And then statistically speaking, like the majority of people that are on these systems are white people.
Yes,
They're
of
not
course.
people of color. You know what I mean? So it's like it's always baffling because then it's like you're shooting yourself in the foot when you talk about taking all these things away because you're hurting yourself.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but racism doesn't allow for like reasonable
Fact.
thought.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
Logic,
for
it
yeah.
sure.
doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't allow for that. And so, if you think I'm on welfare, even if you're on welfare too, and you're white, then you think those people shouldn't be on welfare. It should be for people, good citizens like myself. Um, I think the whole issue of welfare and other issues, the real welfare queens are the corporations that are
Oh,
getting billions of dollars
Yeah.
every year, and that we're begrudging our citizens, just an average citizen, to even in a time of need, be able to have food, clothing, and shelter, so that we can spend money. We can buy oil, give oil subsidies and corporate subsidies for this and corporate subsidies for that, but actually to help actual American people, that's just a bridge too far. We can't let them have anything.
well, I mean, the
It's
biggest
absolutely.
welfare queen of all is Elon Musk. Like, I forget the
Yeah.
amount of money that they give to, like,
Mhm.
that we give to him, which is, it's insane.
Yeah, and
Yeah, so you're 100% right.
Well,
what people should remember more than anything is that rich people and businesses don't pay taxes anymore. That's really our money. And
Oh,
so we, the people, need to make sure that we're getting the benefit of our tax money, not corporations, because they don't pay anymore.
no.
No, it's very
yeah.
true. I'm just like, I can't, I don't know if I should say this on live, but I'm always telling my friends, like, do you guys know why you're still paying taxes? Like, because the government, where's the representation, And if they are only representing billionaires, I mean, Trump is planning on transferring $10 billion into his own personal account of taxpayer money. And it just seems like how is this happening? Um, and nobody's paying or nobody's fighting what we should be fighting. Instead, it's like instead of fighting the corporations, we are arguing about things that are like just don't matter. Like who's getting pennies more than someone else, or who's getting a penny
Yes.
in addition to, you're still getting a
Oh,
penny. Like I don't understand why you're upset about who else is getting a penny.
I mean, is that's part of it, right? Is that we're focusing on uh, the wrong class of people. Like
Hmm.
we're not focusing that there's actually a real class divide going on. We're too busy fighting within ourselves, and can't be like, oh, that's the real problem. The real problem is right there.
Yes. The real
And I,
Well, and
problem is somewhere else for sure.
I think that's
Embrace.
something we're seeing a lot now is them trying to shut down our vote so that we can't vote in better politicians, better government
Hmm.
leaders, better local leaders, because it's not always the federal level that we need to fight at. We have to fight at the local level too. That's where most of the policies that affect our day-to-day life are shaped. And in the meantime, they're trying to keep us out of the polls. They're passing acts, they're passing voter ID laws, they're creating what are, for all intents and purposes, poll taxes, even
Hmm.
if they don't want to label them that way. And as Americans abroad, we still owe taxes. We still have ties to the United States. We may not live there every day. We may have our rights to our body because we're living abroad in a country that gives us that. But I still work in the United States. I still have family ties in the United States. I'm still paying into systems. I want my money to go towards supporting people. And I want to be able to
Yes.
vote for the people home. I want to be able to
Yeah.
vote to protect them.
Well, let me just add for everybody out there watching, if you're abroad, please go to votefromabroad.org and request your absentee ballot for this year's election. Every American can vote in this election. It's not, there's no American abroad practically that can't vote in the elections. And please vote in your primaries so that we can
Yes.
try to elect some people who, if you're dissatisfied with your representation, let's try to elect some people that are going to fight, that are going to fight for our rights, that are going to fight against fascism, that are going to fight to bring something positive to the American people. And also maybe we can actually impeach Trump this time and all his cronies and change our government to something more positive.
And one thing I think that, I don't know, Democrats, and you guys can disagree with me or not, but one thing that the Democrats or progressives or liberals don't do is look at how the other side infiltrated so many levels of government, um, with their ideas, and a lot of times, we don't see, they call them Republicans still, but we know that it started with the birthers movement that moved into MAGA, that ultimately was the reason that they ended up with this consolidation of power in so many levels. So I think that people need to start thinking differently about how we can make change in politics as well.
I
Hmm.
mean, and to kind of piggyback off that, they have the infrastructure because they've been doing it for so long. Like, I forgot what podcast I was listening to, but they were talking about how that we are playing catch up because we do not have the infrastructure at those, local levels to kind of bring in new people in to put into, the school boards. Because if you think about it, like they took over everything in
Exactly, yeah.
certain
Hmm.
areas. And that's just because they went out, they recruited, and they started building these structures to kind of go from the top or from the bottom up, really.
And the thing is, the Democrats, the other side just never does seem to do that to the same extent or to the same success as they do. And I think that's where the miss is. Like they're always seeming, I feel like we're always trying to play to the other side too often and not actually make an effort that pushes the agenda of, actually freedom for people and access for people, the way they're trying to limit the accesses for people. So I think that, as we start talking about involvement, suppression, and those kind of ideas, we have to look at what they've been doing and how they got there. And to a certain extent, Democrats in politics, have been watching this happen, and those paying attention haven't reacted strongly enough.
Well, and that just goes back to what I said earlier. Please vote in your primaries and vote in some fighters, some people
Yeah,
that aren't just going to sit back and just let things happen or not fight against anything. Um, and if you're in the United States, consider running for election. You
that
know,
part.
I
Yeah.
mean, if you look at some of the people who are in politics, I mean, I don't want to say that they're like losers or something, but you're better than they are. So just run.
I mean, if you can string together a coherent sentence, you'd be better than the person in charge.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
Oh,
I
oh,
do
yeah.
want to
oh
say
my
that
God.
Yeah.
I do want to say this year we've already seen some successes. We've seen 2 seats in Texas that have gone significantly Republican in the past. They're state seats that flipped Democrat, strong Democrat in this election, electing their first person to that seat. That both of those were in Texas. They both happened in the last few weeks during special elections. This year, we have all 435 House seats up for election. We have 36 Senate seats. We have 36 governor seats across the country up for election. And then on top of that, 88 seats in state legislature across the states are up for election. And then you also have, school boards and judgeships and lower city
Yeah,
seats and so forth. I mean, there are countless things. Ballot proposals. We always forget that ballot proposals alone are a reason to go vote.
yeah. There's
Yeah.
And
there's
if
no
we can get
reason not to
people,
vote.
if we can get people into the primaries, you want better candidates, that's great. Vote in your primaries.
yep.
If you want to complain about the government, that's great. You need to have voted for it. Even if your guy loses, you get to complain, but you don't get to complain if you don't participate. Because they are actively trying to stop us. And one of the greatest forms of protest is to do whatever it is they don't want us to do. And right now, that's vote.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
We need to definitely vote. It is a form of resistance. And oh, someone running for the
Oh,
House of Representatives.
yeah,
Good luck.
and,
Good luck.
Courtney is running
and
for the State House of Representatives in Arkansas.
Okay.
Arkansas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Arkansas.
And that is wonderful.
good
Yeah.
Everyone
luck.
check out Courtney. She's in our comments, and check out her platform. See if you want to help her campaign. Grassroots campaigns work. We're seeing that. So,
Definitely.
Mhm.
so votefromabroad.org. Everyone can go there. We have Sally drop the link in our chat comment section for us. And I think we've covered a lot of the issues that are up for debate all the time, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
To support Courtney, that's her website for her campaign.
Okay, well, good
And
luck, Courtney.
it was lovely talking with you all. I really hope we get to talk
Thank
again.
you.
Thank
And
you so much.
have a great night.
You too, guys. Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.